What these players are looking like. It looks like they're going to start off. It's going to be IMU versus Bonnie. IMU, the kind of premier new deck for this set. And Steven, why don't you talk about it?
Well, it is definitely one of the scariest decks I think we've ever seen in the One Piece card game. People thought blue-purple Luffy was the king of the late game. Unfortunately, no. That role now goes to Imu and his 5 elders. Basically, once 10 Dawn starts happening, the clock on the game begins.
Yeah, and it has like a lot of value. It's a 4-life monocolor leader, right? So that means that it has to have some kind of power for it. And yeah, it looks like Gavin's gotten some pretty good early cycle already.
Yep, and just so you guys know, we have Gavin up at the top representing Cincinnati, playing the Emu deck, and on the bottom we have Yuri for Life representing San Francisco, playing the Bonnie deck. And as much as I'm a big Bonnie stan, I've been playing her ever since OP07, I feel like the queen of the late game might have a bit of a struggle into this matchup.
Yeah, it's really difficult to outvalue there. And the first life getting another, the 5 elders are at your service. Looking at the top 3 for another Celestial Dragons, getting the Saturn there, definitely the one that you want.
Yeah, that one will just give you all the more search you need to make sure you have the consistency in hand of getting the 5 names in the grave. And it looks like we already have 2 of them. I believe we have the Venus and the Jupiter already down there.
Correct. And Bonnie's going to pass with a Toshigi, a pretty okay play here to be able to protect hopefully a Cavendish or something like that. On the next turn, we're just going to have a 5K from the Emu.
Oh, and I love seeing this from Gavin. Save all your effects, save all your drawing cards, save all your Dawn for after you begin attacking, so that way you don't give away any information to your opponent. Love that.
Yeah. And we're going to play out the St. Charlia, looking top 3 for Celestial Dragon card, getting the It Never Happened, It Never Existed, and being able to get that to hand. Just a plus 4K event is really strong in this deck.
And we're using the leader ability there to get rid of that one-drop that we just used to get another cycle of a draw. This deck is just so consistent. It's crazy.
It is, and we have so much access to like cost reduction, right? We do have our stage here, being able to play something for 4 or less as long as we pay 3. So being able to get the Saturn there, get another search here to get, I believe that's a Mars. I think that's Mars.
Yeah, that was the removal one essentially.
Yes, yeah.
Now, it's really interesting to notice that the ability of this deck to kind of curve out is not really the biggest thing about it. The fact that these 5 elders really cost 1 cost less than what they're printed is not really the big deal. The fact that you can spam them on the board and make them really big threats that just can't be removed once you get a certain number of cards in trash is just so crazy.
Yeah, and we do end up playing the Cavendish. This is really good, especially since we already have the protection from the Toshigi in case they do. They just added the removal card right to hand, so Toshigi will be able to save the Cavendish if that ends up happening, and having 1 Dawn open for our Bonnie leader effect as well.
I always say Cavendish is everyone's favorite 3-drop.
Yes, it is.
Now, it is worth noting that the clock for Yuri for Life is maybe not as big as it would be for other decks because we do have that big defensive leader ability as Bonnie. But once again, if you're able to spam out the 10-drop 5 leaders and get 5 free cards that all become 7K once they're in play, that's a lot of attacks. And that's something that Bonnie's never loved, is a bunch of attacks.
Yeah, and we see Gavin, thinking for the first time for more than a second in this. We got 6 Dawn to work with. This is kind of like the weird in-between turns before we start doing our loops, and we know what our obvious plays are, but it looks like it's going to start with a 7K attack with the Emu leader.
Yeah, kind of like you said, Eggman, I think Gavin's recognizing that we're not going to be able to deal with this Cavendish this turn anyway, even if we use our Mars. So we probably should just save it and try to go for more damage if we can. So when we do play our 10-drop later on in the game, we can sort of shorten that clock that Yuri has access to.
Yeah, but we're going to play out the Marcus Mars here, being able to discard a card from her hand to KO something with cost of 5 or less base cost. So Toshigi falls into that. So it does save the Cavendish from that removal, but having a blocker out is great, and you still get some removal, which is nice.
And I think something always to keep track of too is I believe we only have, I think we're only missing the Warcury, are we not, in the trash there for Gavin?
I know we've seen Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. If you saw Venus, Juro, I believe you. But yeah,
I think he's hiding right there as the second from the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're just gonna play the 3-drop Bonnie. new card from the PRBO2, which came out last month. Pretty good at being able to get that Dawn active as well, and being able to be a blocker. A little bit easy removed in this deck, but still something to use our Dawn to get our 2 Dawn back with Cav.
Yeah, even though this card famously kind of gets rid of Bonnie's biggest problem of being unable to play on curve, it's probably not the best to play so hard into it because, like you said, it can be pretty easy to remove. But the fact that it can be essentially representing 2 stops of attacks is pretty huge.
Yeah, and considering what to do with the rest of the Dawn here, we do have 6 open. Technically, Bonnie can get the 3-drop Bonnie can get a Dawn back if it survives into a when attacking kind of trigger. But the decision here is, I guess, how big do we attack with our leader, and if we want to try to play something else this turn.
Looks like we're going to go for the 6K leader swing here. At this point, you probably only want to go for the face because attacking the characters doesn't really do too much for you, even though they can't be removed through other methods. Oh, but we're going to choose to target down the Saturn there. Okay.
Yeah, it's really tricky, and I think with Emu, the issue with it is that I never feel like there's 100% right play. The
Sure.
biggest thing is that we could leave this around, but then it could be buffed to a 7K next turn if we play the Jupiter there. So we have to be careful about that as well. And looks like we are gonna just play the 5-drop Bonnie now that we have the 8 cards rested for it.
And yeah, like it's like you're saying, Emu is known for being able to adapt to whatever their opponents are doing. It's like, hey, if you want to get rid of my characters, that's fine. I'll prioritize just playing more of them until I can survive long enough to actually just drop the 10 drop multiple times against you, or really the one time.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about this matchup too is that we do kind of get to defend the early aggression for it, but that's never been the issue. It's the late game aggression that Emu has, which is great. We have a lot of good 5 costs, which Emu is really good at removing 5 costs as well. So it's tricky to balance between being defensive but being able to push at least a little bit of damage with this deck.
I've always been a big fan of like trying to counter out of the attacks early against Emu because the first ones that are like 5, 7, 8, whatever, on the following turn it's probably going to be 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, and that's just like a lot harder for you to stop no matter what kind of deck you are. So I'm a big fan of countering early against this deck.
Yeah, and the other issue with that is like the Venus Juro, right? Being able to use that to prevent you from even it gives the -2K to something that you want to attack. It's for the turn. There's chances for other things to interact with it too. But looks like we end up using the Saint Saturn. I couldn't immediately tell what was got from the
That
turn,
was it was giving Warkery to me. It was giving Warkery to me.
okay.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't believe we've seen that one in rotation. We definitely haven't seen it hit the board quite yet. I know that Jupiter is in trash though. I'm not sure about Venus Juro right now either.
But on the next turn, that's when all the sparks will start flying for this Emu deck. People can see the power of being able to play five elders in a single go. Oh, and that was the
so
Workery there being trashed. So
correct. Yeah, and we do get another Mars. So this time being able to get the Cavendish away is great. This is going to be tough. Emu's still at 3 life. We still have a lot of cards in hand on board. There's just a couple blockers from Bonnie, which can be very easily interacted with. This next turn's got to be kind of spectacular to try to get somewhere before they start doing their 5 Elder loop.
And it is helpful for us to remind everyone watching at home this is a team event. I believe both of these players have their teammates on their sides, sort of talking about the matchup as they're going. And this was something that I'm sure Yuri for Life is expected to play against, being it's the big boogeyman of OP13. So I'm really excited to see kind of how we adapt now that the game is getting a lot more serious towards the higher Dawn counts that both players are at.
Yeah, but Emu's just that kind of deck. Like you can know what happens, you can know what they do, but that doesn't mean you know what you can do against them, right? It just has so much value. So it's such an intricate deck that it's really tough to combat at times.
At the end of the day, you really just got to play your game and find some way to match their ability to pressure in the late game because you can't stop them from going there, especially if you're deck like Bonnie, which can't super aggro in the early turns.
Yeah.
Just a simple counter out here from the attack. Yeah. Ooh, and that is a pretty powerful late game card if I've ever seen one. The 9-drop Zoro from OP06. Every time this card comes down, I'm just like, yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, it's a fantastic card for this spot right here. 2 quick things. Emu doesn't really have a great way to remove or interact with this card. The other thing is that this thing can attack 3 times in a turn, which generally speaking, Emu likes to have 2 blockers up, so it eats up a lot of attacks in most turns. But Zoro being able to eat 2 of them and then get a 3rd attack in is pretty huge for this situation.
And it's looking like from Gavin, we're just going to do a boosted attack with the Saturn here, swinging for 6. That will trigger our Bonnie abilities to give us the extra Dawn, which is kind of huge. There's a world that if we had the 10 drop, we could have like maybe shotgunned it to get rid of that, but you're going to lose 3 attacks just to save 1 attack. It's probably not worth it. So we're just going to choose to, play into it, give him the extra Dawn. I respect that.
Yeah, and there's still just going to be a lot of attacks coming through. I think we got to use the Dawn eventually in this spot because we're gonna if they have the 5 elders in hand, there's gonna be a lot of 5 elders on the board afterwards.
Hmm. Now, obviously, I could have missaw the trash earlier, and we don't have all 5 already in there, but I believe we do. So it's going to be probably fireworks here in just a moment once these attacks go through.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have at least 4. Also, when you play the 5 elders, you discard 1. If you have an extra 1 in hand, you can use your leader effect as well. But it looks like we're just going to use the leader effect for the Saint Saturn to get a draw 1.
Gonna lose it anyway, probably. So may as well get the value out of it now if we can. Maybe dig for other stuff if we're thinking of a different play to play on this turn.
But we're actually going to play Stussy. So I may have misspoke here. Normally, we do not have a lot of ways. Stussy is a way, but it did kind of forfeit the ability to, use your 5 elders effect right now. So it's likely a good trade for this one, but likely not what our Bonnie player was thinking was going to happen to that Zoro.
Yes, there are no 5 elders cards that can answer a 9-drop Zoro, but there are plenty of Navy cards that can do it.
Correct. Or Cypher Pole, yes.
Cypher Pole, excuse me. They sometimes work for the Navy. Depends on how they're feeling that day.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go big 5. So IMU has no Dawn open, and they do have 1 blocker, which, we're going to get the block there. And
I was going to say
second Zoro.
I was going to say this motion from Yuri was giving, I've got another Zoro in hand.
Yeah, most of the time when I see 2, I'm pretty upset, but this is one of the rare times where I'm like, you know what? This is fantastic. They spent their entire turn where they could have been using 5 elders to instead just get rid of a card that I was going to play again next turn anyways.
Yeah, because obviously, like, usually, like, if you ever need to actually have 2 of them on the board at one time, what kind of game of One Piece are you playing? Like, that's probably one of the craziest games I've ever seen. But we're just going to start off with the raw Stussy swing here.
Yeah, we definitely. I think we need to use our leader ability.
Oh, they were attacking the character Bonnie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I'm surprised they didn't use their leader ability since they will be able to like 5 elders and attack, but you can attack with IMU first beforehand. So that might have lost out on kind of the usage from the Bonnie leader effect.
And like on the first turn you play 5 elders, there's only like 1 attack actually that comes out because only Venus has the rush. So yeah, you're totally right. We're missing out on value from our leader. Not that much, but value nonetheless.
Yeah, when they're adding 5 cards to the board per turn, it is a little impactful. So we're just going to go with 7. We're going to take it real quick.
Is this going to be a? Oh,
yeah.
There it is. There it is. We're going with the whole board. Here comes the 10 drop, and we do got all 5 in there. There's the Valkyrie, there's the Saturn, there's the Mars, there's the Venus. It was in there, and then there's Jupiter coming down.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what this card does, you will probably on your first locals, but in case not, activate main if your leader's IMU. You may rest 1 of your Dawn cards and trash 1 card from your hand. Trash all of your characters. Play up to 5 Elder type characters with 5k power and different names from your trash, and that's exactly what happened.
We call this in the business profit.
Yes, and there's a lot of additional things going on. We get to draw 1 off the top 5 from Saturn. Everything has plus 2k. We've got 2 blockers. We can get rid of the Bonnie if we want to by discarding a card off Mars. And then you guys can probably tell you can just do this again next turn as long as you have another 5 Elders 10 drop in hand too.
Yep, and for those that don't know, I know we haven't mentioned it that much because in this matchup it's not the biggest deal in the world, but all the 5 Elders cards have abilities that are essentially unlocked once you have a certain number of cards in trash. Mars and Valkyrie both become blockers. I believe Venus gains Rush, and then Jupiter, I believe, only won't be removed from effects, and then Saturn won't be removed from effects either. But they all say can't be removed from effects, and then only certain ones gain keywords.
Yeah, so when you look at them, they're like, oh, these are kind of unassuming cards, right? They only have 5k power, but with the synergy with themselves is really great. Not being able to be removed from effects is very obnoxious at times. Bonnie's not the one of the decks that relies on removal, but it is tough to interact with these cards at times.
Now, all that being said, we just did a lot over there as Gavin, but we're still representing a lot of pressure as Yuri for life here because Gavin had the big heads up play to not attack with the Venus, even though it did have Rush, because we don't want to play into the leader ability then. So we kind of did get the leader value by kind of forcing Gavin to not attack and risk losing 2 of their 5 elders by being attacked into. But now we just have three 9k swings minimum with this Zoro, and that's representing a lot here.
Yeah, I think the other thing to note is that if we attack with the Zoro all 3 times, it ends rested, and so we can give it the -2k with the Venus Juro, which we can't really interact with right now, and then we can play a second one, and then it's a 5k, and then what are you supposed to do about that?
Yeah, so Gavin's kind of forcing Yuri's hand and being like, you only get 2 attacks with the Zoro rather than the full 3. But Yuri might just go like, hey, if you want to attack into a 9k guy that becomes a 7k guy rather than my face, I say go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like you lost 2 blockers, and these are blockers that would attack next turn anyways if they were still around. But this is exactly the spot where Emu's in such a good spot because we have blockers, we have card draw. We are not really missing out on any value. We will do the 3rd attack though with Zoro here.
I respect the violence. I respect
going
it.
down to 1.
It is also worth noting, too, that we did discard for the cost of our 10 drop another 10 drop, which is giving me the read that there's another big costed card in Gavin's hand. Could be another Stussy, could be another 10 drop that we're kind of thinking about playing. And oh, here comes 3 Jewelry Bonnies from PRBO2 coming down.
Yeah, I mean, these are okay blockers, right? The fact that we will be able to get our Dom back, very likely. I don't think they're going to be able to remove them before an attack trigger, so that's fine. But still, not maybe the card we were hoping for.
But we are going to use the Venus as our first attack to guarantee that -2 when attacking ability. We will get our 2 Don back as Yuri. And what I like about these blockers they're basically like the ultimate protection for our Zoro. Because even though he's 7k, we are going to be able to blink 2 attacks with those blockers and 1 more attack with our leader ability this turn. And so even if a 10 drop does come down, what's the scariest thing that's going to happen? 1 more 7k attack because Jupiter will bump everything up? That might not be the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah. So thinking about if we're using a leader effect, it really depends if you want to. I mean, they're at 1 life, so if you feel like you can be confident and use your leader effect to either prevent a Venus Juro attack or rest a blocker when they do, that could make a big difference.
And the big punish could obviously be, we saw they're playing Stussy. How many copies are they playing? If I do spend all my resources trying to protect this Zoro just to get it removed anyway, is that the best play I should go for as Yuri? That's a thing we kind of probably got to keep in mind if we're them.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was Bonnie, if they dropped Stussy on me, I'd be kind of happy because they will have no blockers. Most on they'll have up is 1, and there could be a route for me to go for game. But yeah, going into life and taking it going down to 1 life for Bonnie.
I mean, we do trust in Hody Jones in this house. I'll tell you that much. If we're playing a green deck, Hody Jones is always creeping around the corner.
Yeah, and now that we have Dead Man's Game as well as like our event, Hody Jones, green can really interact and still be a really good finisher for Emu, right? They have blockers. They like to keep Dawn open for their it never existed, which I don't think we've resolved one of those copies of that card yet. So that could be a big difference.
Also, if I'm reading this board texture right, does Emu or Gavin only have 2 cards in hand? Is that correct?
I believe so, but that doesn't seem immediately right for me. But that could just be. I think there's more. I think it's just the top down angle.
I mean, I think we did counter a little bit in the early game, but yeah, I think we should have at least 4 or 5, maybe. But yeah, okay, I'm seeing a lot more cards there. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I was like, for a second, I was like, oh, are we in team? Are we in with the Zoro comeback? No.
All right, considering what to use the rest of the Dawn, even though the stage is tapped, they have not used the stage ability yet, so they can still
not this turn.
Play something for 3. Yeah, not this turn. All right, and again, I'm going to assume that Zoro is currently a 7k. All of our bodies here are currently 7k for Emu, so we're going to go 7 into somewhere.
If you saw that Yuri is taking life this turn, yeah, going for the leader swing might be pretty tantalizing.
Yeah, I think the thing is that Gavin it's unlikely that they're able to win this turn, but they want to be in a
Yeah.
position where they can do a very easy push for lethal next turn. So being able to do that, but also you got to be worried about 9-cost Zoro because he is very difficult to interact with too. So it is quite the decision.
And like, even though if you do have like another 10 drop 5 elders in hand, that does give you a lot of blockers. Green has never cared about blockers since the history of
No.
time. I'm just gonna rest those boys and attack you 3 times as Zoro anyway. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be pretty interesting here. This end game. I think it might. I think we're attacking Zoro. That makes the most sense to me. We are gonna use the leader ability here, the tap. No, we're actually going after the face. It looks like. I saw Yuri gesture towards
Yeah.
their life.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna tap it, and then we're gonna take the last card in life, and then play a nasty game of try to defend Zora with these jewelry bonnies. So the other thing too that doesn't come up as much, but the number of attacks you have per turn is actually pretty impactful. So even if these
Mm-hmm.
bonnies are just 3Ks, being able to prevent potentially put 4 Dawn attack 7K does end up being pretty important as well.
Right, because if there's one thing Emu maybe isn't the best at doing, it's like they can sculpt their hand, but usually they want to sculpt their hand to like pull off a big combo, not to like sculpt for defense necessarily. So there could be a world where like
Mhm.
a single 5K swing eats up a 2K, and that's like super great value if you're trying to go
Yeah,
for an
and
end game.
we're doing the 5 elders once again, being able to get all 5 of them once we find the 5th one. Also, I don't think we've mentioned it. On your turn, if you have 19 or more cards in your trash, Inu but does become a 6K leader. I believe at this point in the game we're probably there. So
Oh yeah.
being able to get the rest on it before it became a 9K is really good. And yeah, we got a World Equilibrium event. Emu has so much defensive counter, just floating in their deck too. It's a bit outrageous.
Yeah, usually when you get to this stage where they could just play the 10 drop for the discount while representing like 2 or 3 active Dawn just for the 4K defense is insane. We are
Yeah.
going to go for another Venus here. We're just going to go ahead and eat that block up, no problem.
Yeah, and we did we kept 4 Dawn open. We've got 2 blockers up right now, and a good amount of cards in hand. So I think we should have at least 2 defensive events based on what we've seen earlier. I think there's like
Hmm.
5-ish cards in hand for Emu, maybe 6, but even if we rest these blockers, it's not home free quite yet.
Well, there's the Hody Jones. This is usually how green end games start, and we're going to go with the 5K attack into the leader. It looks like we're going to counter out.
Yeah, we're gonna go Hody for 8. We are gonna get a never existed to get out of that. We're gonna use the Zoro effect to go 9. All right, we're gonna go 9 one more time.
Okay, it
Yeah,
might be go time.
I think it is go time. We got one more attack after this one, so we gotta get out of 2 9K attacks. So World Equilibrium for 1, and a defensive event here. Let me
That's the
get this one
Garp
up.
event, I believe. Yeah, to add back a 2K. Oh my goodness, 3 cards in hand. Is it enough to stop another 9?
Yeah, one more 9, and yeah, spend the
So
2, one
yeah,
last 9.
all
Not quite.
all we have is 9 exactly. I think.
Yeah, I think it's 2K 1K. So
Oh,
Zoro able
8K.
to be the hero we
Whew.
needed, able to get there with the Hody Jones, and San Francisco's up 1-0 with the Bonnie.